Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. I salute the divine feet of the great Sri Shankara, the depository of Shruti, Smriti and Puranas, and an abode of immense compassion, whose advent was for the good of the world. Good morning. Today is a special day. Today we are celebrating the Janmatithi, the birthday of the great philosopher, Saint Acharya Shankara or Adi Shankara Acharya. And I should take the opportunity to say that it's not only Janmatithi, birthday of Sri Shankara, but Janmatithi, birthday of another great personality, great saint, Sri Ramanuja Acharya. Today, we'll discuss on the life of Sri Shankara, Acharya Shankara or Adi Shankara. The lecture, the topic of today's discussion is Acharya Shankara and his time. So let us start with the pranam mantra, the verse we just now chanted. Let us start with that. Here it is said that in this verse that Sri Shankara is Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam. That was the first line. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. So what does it mean by Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam? The first adjective. He is the repository, a shrine. Alaya means a shrine, a temple, where we keep sacred things. In Sanskrit or Bengali or many of the Indian languages, school, the institution, education institution, we call Vidyalayam. Vidya plus Alayam. Vidya means education, knowledge, and Alayam is the temple, shrine, or the house, the building. So in school we get, it's a sacred place where we learn. So what does it mean? Shruti, Smriti, Purananam, Alayam means he is the temple or storehouse of Shruti, all the knowledge that we get from Shrutis. Shrutis means Vedas, Shruti. And Smriti means that like Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Sutras, Kalpa Sutras, Itihas. Itihas not is exact as history. It has some kind of history plus the some kind of stories. And another thing is Purananam. Last comes Purananam. The Purana appears in a bigger canvas. Its topic is entirely different. It talks about avatars, the incarnation of the Supreme Godhead. In some Puranas you will find discussion about like that Varaha Purana. It discusses about the incarnation as Varaha. And not about only incarnation, many. Devi Purana, Shiva Purana. So Puranas, its topic is little different than Shruti and Smriti. So in Shankara, we find a place in which the entire subject matter of the Shruti, Smriti and Puranas is enshrined, and is therefore we are calling him Smriti, Smriti Puranam Alayam. And he is not only, the next word is Karunalayam. He is not a repository of that vast knowledge only. He is Alayam of Karuna. Again a shrine, a repository, a temple of Karuna, compassion. And the next line, Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. So we offer our salutation to the divine feet of Shankaram, who is Loka Shankaram, whose advent was for the good of the world. Loka Shankaram. Sham karatu yah, Shankara. Sham means that self-control, what is auspicious. So that was the meaning of our verse. There is a short but beautiful biography of Acharya Shankara in Bengali. We have many books, but so what I was reading a few days ago, it was a small booklet written by Indradayal Bhattacharya, who later became another great monk, Swami Premeshananda. So I started that book reading from the introduction, and it was written by another great scholar, Sri Rajendranath Ghosh. He was a great Pandit, great scholar, and he was contemporary of Swami Shuddhananda, a friend of Shuddhananda, who was a disciple of Swami Vivekananda. And later, this great scholar also took sannyasa, became a monk of our order, thus became Chid Ghanananda ji, Swami Chid Ghanananda ji. So, but when he wrote this book, Premeshananda ji, he was still in his pre-monastic life as Indradayal Bhattacharya. But when the scholar wrote that introduction of the book, he was also in his pre-monastic life known as Rajendranath Ghosh. So when he started writing that introduction of that book, he was reminded of, he remembered Shukadeva. Shukadeva, probably many of you know, who was the who told Srimad Bhagavatam to King Parikshita. And the subject matter of Bhagavatam was so vast, so great, so grand. So there was a discussion, who could tell, who could express the subject matter, the grandness of Bhagavatam to somebody. So they found Sri Shukadeva. Shukadeva was an embodiment or personification of knowledge and purity. If so there are many stories related to Shukadeva. If you but you have to figure out, in Puranas, as there you will find some kind of fantasy story, that kind of element, because in those days, so it would serve different kind of reader, Nowadays you will find different for entertainment, some storytelling different, but those days, behind the stories, there was a message. So this message part is important. So when we will discuss about the life of Acharya Shankara, we will find, so he always talk about what is the message behind the verse. Message is important. Sometimes, when you want to teach your kids, the children, or in school, the students, you take these stories to convey the message. You use these stories to convey some message. And we remember in our childhood, after the story, there will be a moral. What is the moral of the story? So that was the way always. So, but behind these stories, behind these descriptions, we'll find some message that Shukadeva was a personification of knowledge and purity. So, Rajendranath Ghosh, when he was writing that introduction for the book, immediately the name of Shukadeva came into his mind. And it was a Bengali, but he wrote something like that. If we have to determine the way in which a person can lead his life, enjoy this world and the hereafter, enjoy this world and the hereafter as much as possible without any hindrance, and finally meet the best kind of salvation, that is nirvana moksha, then the life of Bhagavan Shukadeva, Lord Shukadeva, and then Sri Shankaracharya seems to be the best example for us. So, in Shankara's life, we can see a young boy. Okay, let me finish the Shukadeva part. So, if somebody want to be focused, a life that is dedicated to know the supreme truth of our existence, only focused, only that is my goal, my life. And so this life of Shukadeva and Shankaracharya is always comes in our mind first, that kind of life. Shukadeva was the result of the endless penance of Bhagavan Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. He was born as a result of the austerities that Vyasa performed to get an ideal and wise son. So, and it is said that Shukadeva, the perfect, unblemished life, the supreme ideal, possessor of moksha, according to Purana, Shukadeva lived in his mother's womb for fear of entering the world of illusion. He did not get want to born. That is the story part. Then Vyasa, he took refuge to Vishnu. So, what should we do? Then Vyasa, also a great scholar and a great saint, we call him another incarnation of God. So Vishnu told, okay, out of compassion, he told, okay, I can remove Maya for a moment. And there are different versions. Please don't be that confused. If you read different Puranas, you'll find different stories. So, but thing is, I will remove for a moment. And what was the span of the moment? If you want to keep a mustard seed on the top, the goshinga, it is on the top of a horn that of a cow, that narrow place. So if you try to put it, that mustard seed, the time it takes for that moment, for the fraction of the moment, I can remove my Maya. So it is said that in the story, Shukadeva came out and from his mother's womb. But behind that story, you can understand that the Shukadevas, that perfection, that perfect innocence, his pure life. So now Rajendra has told, but if I want to compare between the life of Shankara and life of Shukadeva, according to him, according not for to him, that it is that sometimes I think Acharya Shankara, perhaps he shown some excellence in some matters, because Acharya Shankara played a role of Jagat Guru, the world teacher, and he was the mastermind. He is the great author of all those commentaries on Prasthanatraya, Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, and whatnot, and so many hymns. So, in that, sometimes I think he played a greater role, according to that Rajendranath Ghosha. But it was to glorify. It is not about a comparison. We want, as we are going to talk about the life of Shankara, it is it is to prepare our mind. So, on whom we are going to talk. So even there is a beautiful sloka also that Shankara himself told about him. Krite Vishwa Guru Brahma Tretayang Rishi Sattama Dwapare Vyasa Evasyat Kalavatra Bhavamiham. So Vishwaguru, the world teacher, Krite, in the mythological division of time for Satya Yuga, the golden age kind of thing. So Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. In Satya Yuga, in the golden age, the world teacher was Brahma, the creator of the universe himself. So Tretayam, so it was the great sage Vasishtha was the world teacher. In Dwapara, Vyasa, and Kali, in this present age, I am the world teacher, I am the Vishwaguru. So it was his utterance. So I sometimes think about Shankara, that focus, the intensity in his life. He lived only a life of 32 years. And he achieved so much. Sometimes again and again, they sometimes compare his life with Swami Vivekananda. Again, 39 years of age, same kind of purity, same kind of life. Afterwards, many thinkers, they compare about their life and contribution. So, about Shankara, we are talking about, it is said that when he born, his father made a horoscope, Kushti, we call it horoscope. So, and he himself was a great scholar. He knew all those things, and he found that this young boy, his lifespan is so small. So, but he wanted to give him the initiation into sacred thread ceremony. In a Brahmin boy, the first, not the first, but they had to take that some sacred thread, and he had to take some kind of vows. So generally, for the normal tradition, the age 9 is the minimum requirement to get that initiation, but under some special circumstances, that at the age of 5, somebody we can give that secret initiation we can give. So he thought that he does not have this, my son does not have enough age. So let us give it a special case. So let us follow this special injunction in scripture. I can give him initiation, that sacred ceremony, when he will be at the age of 5. But it was so unfortunate, when Shankara was only 3 years old, his father Shiva Guru passed away. So it was the first encounter with death. A little 3 years boy, he encountered death in his family. But he was a child prodigy. We do not want to go in those things, because we want to say something different today. So, but again, from her horoscope, he came to know his ayu, he's going to die at the age of 8. So but there was an option, if he does a lot of austerities, patience, tapasya, so another 8 years he can get. But it was only 16. So I was just thinking about that. When you understand, or when you realize that my life, my stay in this world is very, for a short period, I am going to live in this life, in this world for a short period. Suddenly, all those energy, you do not like to waste your energy. You will be always focused. No, for this, what I want to do, I have to finish. So sometimes in our scripture it is said, whenever you are performing some religious activity, always remember God, as if Yama is standing in front of you. So thus you will get the intensity. Maybe the holy name I am uttering now, or maybe I am what I am thinking now, maybe it may be the last chance for me. So do it with whole of your energy. Thus we can get that intensity and focused. So we wanted to discuss about the time of Acharya Shankara. So thus we can understand what he did for us. So let us, his time, he was born at Kaladi, in the present state of Kerala. If you go to India, the southern part, in the southern end of India, you will get that name in the map. It is Kerala. So, and it was 8th century. There was again a lot of controversy about his time, but modern scholars there became almost unanimous to say that he was a saint from 8th century. So in those days we found, I was searching about the dynasties of South India. So I found that, but not now, also we also in our school days we have studied a little bit about that. So the Chola dynasty, the Chera dynasty, the Pandyan dynasty, the Pallava dynasty, the Kadamba dynasty, these are all those time from that 600 BC to around 600 AD, or maybe the Chola dynasty, it stayed up to, I think, 12th century AD maybe. So that was the time span. So about the Kerala, I found during the time of Adi Shankara Acharya, the Kerala was characteristic by a complex political landscape. Various dynasties and smaller kingdoms ruled different regions, leading to a decentralized political structure. In South India, notable dynasties included the Pallavas, Cholas, all those things, who vied for power and influence over territories. Kerala, on the other hand, was divided into numerous independent principalities known as Nadas or Narus, N-A-D-U-S or sometimes N-A-D-S. These Nadas were often engaged in conflicts and rivalries with each other, contributing to a fragmented political scenario. I think it may be another reason. So as they are not a prominent king, so to find out the exact time of Shankara, it was difficult. They are not the notable kings like Chola kings or Pandyan kings. But in life, when we read life of Shankara, we come across a few names like King Raja Shekhara, King Sudhanma. But but all those mentioned, you can get only his life, not in mainstream of history. So that was another reason to find the exact timeline of Shankara. And about social scenario, during the era of Adi Shankaracharya, spanning in 8th century AD, South India as well as Kerala were characteristic by a rich tapestry of social dynamics, cultural diversity, and philosophical ferment. The social condition of the time were deeply intertwined with religious practices, caste systems, and societal norms, all of which influenced the lives of individuals and communities. Religion played a central role in shaping social norms and practicing during this period. Hinduism, with its diverse pantheon of deities and rituals, formed the bedrock of religious life in the region. Temples served as not only places of worship, but also as centers of community life, where religious festivals, cultural events, and social gatherings took place. We can see in the life of Shankara that religious discussions, that the debates, that the clash of different opinions was happening. But Shankara mainly he faced, though if you read the life of Shankara, you will find that when I was reading a life of Shankara written by Rajendranath Ghosh, it is a great big book. So I was looking at the contents. So there, the scholar pointed out that the encounters that happened between all those scholars. But the word always he was writing means with this faith, Shankara encountered and did sanskara. With this kind of faith or opinion, philosophies, Shankara he debated and did sanskara. Again and again, sanskara, that words were repeatedly coming. So it occurred to me that that is the role of Acharya. It is not the demolishing a faith, a opinion. It is not that sense of that defeat to conquer somebody. So once I remember Swami Premeshananda told, there is a difference between that Vijaya, that word is for that for the conquering something is Vijaya. So the main biography of Shankara is Shankara Digvijaya. But there are many, under the same title, you will find many books. So Shankara Digvijaya. Digvijaya means Shankara's that conquering the world, if you want to translate that way. So Premeshanandaji, he told, you see, the way a king, a Alexander, a Temur, he did that Vijaya, conquering the nation. But there is a difference between when conquering by the Buddha as a conqueror, Shankara as a conqueror, and Alexander as a conqueror, difference is there. So they are looking, genuine kind of, they are looking not for heads, how many heads I will cut, how much territory I will get, but it is winning heart. When a mother tries to pacify his son or her son or daughter, it is also some kind of to conquer that sin. But there's affection is there, to change the mind. There's the element of love and affection are there. So when these teachers want to conquer somebody, it is better word is samskar, to rectify his view. It is not that there is no sense of enmity, it is of love. If we read, if we can develop an idea, a capacity of an undivided vision, akhanda drishti we call. If we can develop that kind of drishti, that kind of vision, we will find that, and if you read history, you will find there is a thread is going through all those colorful events of history. As if you read the works of Swami Vivekananda or that kind of personality, you will find they have that kind of undivided look, undivided vision to think about something. They can say that a river flow of events is going on. And that action and reaction, there's a connection in between that. Some facts and counter facts, there's a connection. So we noticed that there are various, if you think about the time of Buddha, because there are, though Shankara debated with many of the faiths, but two main opponents in that sense, if we want to use that word, it is the Mimamsakas and the Buddhist. They are predominant in the society. They had a big role in the society, a lot of followers. So to us, discussion between the Buddhist and the Mimamsakas were very interesting. So there was various religious and philosophic speculations in the country before the Buddha was born. So Buddha, his followers started a new religion. But when Buddha born, he born in a society, a Hindu society. No, that kind of philosophy. So the Buddha was born, which undoubtedly exercised a great influence upon his mind. We notice, in the first place, a class of people performing various Vedic rites and sacrifices in the belief that they helped one to gain not only the pleasures and enjoyments of this world and the next, but also liberation. This is called evolution of religion. We talk about evolution of science, but there's an evolution of religion also. That history of religion, if you want to study in that way. So, alongside of these advocates of Vedic tradition were others who had lost their faith in them and held that they could hardly bring about the highest bliss in life. Some of these thinkers attempted to interpret Vedic sacrifices allegorically. Means in those days, if you do this sacrifice or if you perform this ritual, you will get pleasure in this life and the life hereafter. So everyone, that's why we go to church, to the temple, to the shrine. That's why we want some joy. We want in the life and hereafter. You have started thinking about hereafter, what will happen more. So we have to earn some merit. That was the thing. So before Buddha came, in general, the Mimamsakas were very prevalent. This Vedic sacrifice, you will find different, like Ashwamedha Yagya, Rajasuya Yagya. If you do that kind of sacrifice, you will get some merit in this life, and you need not to think about your life hereafter in heaven. So it will be also a joyful life. So they started doing all those things. So, but at the same time, there were parallel thinkers. Not only Buddha, parallel thinkers. If you read the Upanishads carefully, you will find these thinkers trying to give an interpretation, more universal interpretation. What, like that, for instance, with reference to the horse sacrifice, that is called Ashwamedha, that the sacrificial horse that you're going to sacrifice was not an ordinary horse, but one having the dawn for the head, the sun for the eyes, the wind for the breath, the heaven for the back, the intermediate space, we call antariksha, the space between heaven and earth, for the belly, and earth for the legs, and so on. They also interpreted the self of the sacrifice as the worshipper himself, his faith as his wife, his body as the firewood, his breast as the shrine, and so forth, concluding that one who knew this sacrifice attained success. If you do all those sacrifices, thinking that idea. You see, if you any of our centers in our societies, before you start having the meal, we utter some mantra, Paramarpanam, like that. And behind you think something. So that if you think that way, you will get maximum benefit. You will get knowledge. Sometimes in tradition, we pray to God before having meal. So what is that? If you do, so you will get maximum out of that. It will not remain as simple a act of food, act of meal. It will become a worship kind of thing, if you remember God before that. So they added, those parallel thinkers already, they have added this kind of thought with this kind of, that Ashwamedha Yajna. Think like that. Now you would follow. So, for these thinkers, whose influence became stronger and stronger as time went on, the external Vedic sacrifice had no value whatsoever. They regarded them merely as frail rafts on which one could in no way cross the ocean of samsara. Slowly they started saying that is a frail raft. You cannot cross the ocean of samsara, this relative existence. So yajna is not much strong enough. So you can the literature that came afterwards, that age, you will find that kind of discussion. And I found very nice kind of discussion. So at first, that animal sacrifice, it started with horses. I am talking about that Indian subcontinent. Horses, or maybe cows. Then the animals have become smaller and smaller. Sheep, then goat. At the end, there are more options. So, what kind of option? You can just offer, if you go in some of our centers, okay, we are offering, but a kind of fruit. Take a fruit and sacrifice it. So they started saying you will get the same result. So it is interesting if you want to study the history of this evolution of religious thoughts in that way. Open your mind, just read as a student, not involve yourself in that. But you can see the march of events. So in that way, automatically Buddha came. Automatically. I want to say that. So as time went on, the authority of the scriptures, the source of Vedic sacrifices, began to lose its hold on the people. As a consequence, there arose many free and independent thinkers who propounded new systems of religious and philosophic speculation. About Buddha now. A greater renunciation. The world has not seen than of this prince surrounded by all the comforts of life. He takes to the life of a beggar. And for what? He sacrificed. He was a prince. Buddha was a prince. Not for his own liberation, but to find out a way to put an end to the misery of the millions around him. Bahujana hitaya, bahujana sikhaya. For the benefit of the world, for many people. I am sacrificing this life of apparent comfort. I want to say apparent comfort. Though thousands worshipped at his feet, he disclaimed all superhumanity for himself. He said he was a man like any of us. When he got enlightenment, people started worshipping him. But he used to say, I am a simple man like you. Buddhahood was the birthright of one and all without distinction. A man of supreme self-reliance, he taught the same manliness to his disciples. His method and his outlook were like those of a Jnani and a yogi. You can compare some of our teaching about God. He never taught anything specifically. But if you read the Kena Upanishad, all the Upanishad, you'll find the same kind of utterance. Who says, I know him, he does not. So, but with time, he denied the existence of God. But with time it happened. Weak mortals as we are, we want a God to face we could look up in the days of sorrow, who could support us in the dark despair of tribulation. So we made Buddha as God. We replace God with Buddha. So because our psychology is like that. In my utter despair, in my dark days, I want to look at something for my support. The inspiring personality of the Blessed One was removed by 13 centuries and was disfigured beyond recognition by a heap of miracles that had gathered round him. If you read many stories, you will find that miraculous kind of thing. Walking in the sky, traveling in the sky, flying in the sky, walking over the on water, those kind of stories. Hundreds of tribes. Then it was 13th century, 1300 years. 1300 years. So, hundreds of tribes, aboriginal, alien, that crowded into the fold of Buddha, swamped the real spirit of Buddhism. And we found in Bhagavad Gita, same thing. In 4th chapter, I think, if you started reading that one, you will find that Krishna is giving advice to Arjuna. With the very first sloka, he said, Imam vivasvate yogam praktavan ahamabhayam vivasvan manave praha manu riksha kavi bravit. O Arjuna, the Supreme Lord Krishna said, I taught this eternal science of yoga to the sun, Vivaswan, who passed it on to Manu, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshaku. So you are not my first student. Yeah. I have told the science of yoga long before. And that was my disciples, the tradition of my disciples. Evam parampara praptam imam rajar shayo viduhu sa kalineha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. The power of kala, power of time. We call, Shankara wrote, kala jagad bhakshakaha. Kala, the time, eats everything. I sometimes think, in 50 years ago, or 80 years ago, not 80 years ago, so some were working here. They are different person. Now we are working. So he told that, O subduer of enemies, the saintly kings thus received the science of yoga in a continuous tradition. But with the long passage of time, it was lost to the world. So it was very natural. Nothing, it is that abnormal happened. So then came Shankara. Swami Vivekananda told, but India has to live. And the Spirit of the Lord descended again. He who declared, I will come whenever virtue subsides, came again, and this time the manifestation was in the south. South is India. And up rose that young Brahmin, of whom it was been declared that at the age of 16 he had completed all his writings. The marvelous boy, Shankaracharya, arose. The writings of this boy of 16 are the wonders of the modern world, and so was the boy. He wanted to bring back the Indian world to its pristine purity, but think of the amount of the task before him. Shankara came, a great philosopher, and showed that the real essence of Buddhism and that of Vedanta are not very different. Shankara was a mystic. He was not only, if you say he is only saint, so it is not his everything. He was a mystic, a philosopher, and a poet, all rolled into him. To him, the Upanishads were not the fabrication of wonderful brains. They were to him the genuine records of mystic experiences beyond the senses and the mind. Like Ramakrishna, he had these experiences himself. He realized all those truths. The Upanishads served but confirmed this. He built his whole philosophy on this solid rock of experience and could easily roam in the fair field of the Upanishads. He was an infant prodigy. He knew all the 4 Vedas and the Vedangas at a very little age. He mastered the 6 systems of Indian philosophy and knew the strength and weakness of each system. He became a mystic. He had a poetic genius. It was a different discussion. So I was listening to a talk given by one of our senior monks. He was saying that sometimes we think that he has same capacity like Kalidasa, a great Sanskrit poet. But Shankara wrote mainly upon philosophical discussions and in the praise of God and goddesses. So sometimes we sometimes that do not understood, we didn't understand his capacity. Shankara was, as we told, that he knew that the strength and weakness of each system. In his time, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, we have 6 schools of thought, Indian thought: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Vedanta, and all those things. And he knew all the weakness. And when he knew how to combine all those things, the strength of each system. Shankara has in a full measure the characteristic genius of the Hindu who assimilate and absorb whatever is health-giving in the atmosphere around him. He knows how to absorb good things. Mimamsakas, in their enthusiasm for rituals which were regarded by them as their kamadhenu, characterized the Upanishads and mere arthavada, necessary to emphasize the importance of rituals, but leading to no independent thought. So when I am now talking about his debate with the Mimamsakas. So the Mimamsakas, who was the master of rituals, the teacher of rituals. You do follow these rituals, will get this pleasure this life, and that we already talked about when we were discussing about Buddha. So, and about, for them, Upanishad didn't have much importance. So what are the Upanishads? Because it is in Veda. In Veda, you will find 2 sections, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Karma Kanda full of ritualistic, all those things. And Upanishad is like pure knowledge about your realization. So, if you look, the Mimamsaka's view was that ritual, the portion of ritualistic, those verses, is meant for you. We have to practice all those things. And what about the Upanishad part? It's mere arthavada. It is just to appreciate the ritualistic part. If you do these rituals, we'll get all those things, that much. Some kind of, but leading to no independent thought. Shankara, in his admiration for the Vedanta, was not oblivious of the achievements of the Mimamsakas in the science of interpretation of the Vedic text. One of the great glories of the Hindu religious thinkers was that, though they all based their siddhantas on the authority of the Vedas, they were not fundamentalists like the follower of other faiths. No school of Hindu religious thought accepted the necessity to regard every sentence of the Vedas as equally authoritative and so to be justified to the people. They understood. 2 parts are there. Every sentence we have to support. So they talked about 2 things. One is vidhi, another is vidhi shesha. Vidhi means commands or injunctions you have to follow. And vidhi shesha means arthavada, supplements or panegyric. It is just words of praise. This original and bold conception saved them from many of the pitfalls of the fundamentalists of other religions. That saved them. So Shankara accepted this division and most of the other rules of interpretation framed by Jaimini, the teacher of Mimamsakas. But his view of the Vedas was fundamentally different. Shankara regarded the Vedas as Jnapaka or revealing the truths, while Jaimini recognized them as Karaka or mandatory with dire consequence on disobedience. Also, while Jaimini's view leads to exclusion of the hymns and the Upanishads, Shankara comprehended all parts of the Vedas alike in its scope. So he wanted to eliminate that part, unimportant, Jnana Kanda, unimportant. What to do? You will close your eyes, what will happen? Nothing. Do something. So he gave much pressure on karma, ritual. Shankara took the enthusiasm. The enthusiasm you are doing all those rituals, think. think about the philosophies. Sometimes we can ask, we can discuss over the issue, the power of question. Yeah. Questions are very important. If you just following what are my forefathers is doing, why I am following? Ask yourself, ask your teacher. The question, it will remind yourself about your existence. So that is the importance of questioning yourself. Have to question. So in some, okay. So anyhow, Shankara made a beautiful remark. He told, "Na vakyasya vastun vyakhyanam kriyan vyakhyanam va pramanya karanam king tarhi anishchit phalavat vijnana utpadakatvam yat tatra yat tad yatra asti tat pramana vakyam yatra nasti tat apramanam." About the authority of the sentence. In every religion we regard, we all have in some books, we have we have Upanishad, other than Bible, we have Quran, all those things. So he was talking about authority of the sentences. He told, the test of the authority or otherwise of a passage is not whether it states a fact or orders an action, but its capacity to generate certain and fruitful knowledge. A passage that has this is authoritative, while the one that lacks it is not. That sentence, what is the message behind that? So that is that is its importance. It should convey some message. It should ignite that fire of knowledge inside you. That is the value. The sentences that ignites in you that idea, that knowledge, it is a real authoritative sentence. So remaining thing is vidhishesha. You need not to take all. That's we discuss about that many stories from the Puranas, Especially if you read the Hindu philosophies, these stories, a lot of stories. Because we knew we have different the temperament of people who is listening. So, many of us like that part. It's okay for them. But my thought process is different from you. We respect you. You have also place in my family. So we do not condemn any part. Whatever, just it depends upon you. Just pick up whatever you like. So Shankara's position is very bold. He's saying that knowledge part. You read some book, what knowledge you get. The 10 pages book, just finish that. After reading, ask yourself, what I got from that book. That was his spirit. And another thing, his unique method. Shankara does not reject each system in its entirety. Important point. But merely exposes the fallacies in each and rejects this. He accepts whatever is sound in the system. A question often asked, can a rishi be partly right and partly wrong? Because all the system means all those schools of thought, some rishis had started. Gautama started Naya. Vaisheshika Kanada, they are also rishis. So, were they wrong? So, that question may be asked. So, a question often asked, can a rishi be partly right and partly wrong? Yes, says Shankara. And he adds, after rejecting what is false or fallacies, except the part of it that is sound. So, he stated in the Sutra Bhashya, Arthaika desham sampratipato api arthaika desha vipratipatte. Even though some parts do agree with me, yet some other parts of the other schools conflict. Then he added, where the others do not contradict, they are acceptable. And there we do give place to Sankhya and Yoga in this respect. So, he told both Sankhas and Yogins are dualistic, and they are not seers of the truth. all souls are but one, is the conclusion of the Vedanta. So what is universal? Take that one. That's why we talk about some portion is Swamiji. He told repeatedly. In every discussion, every book, some are primary, some are secondary, except the second primary portion. What is universal? What is beneficial for everyone? Swamiji told very nicely. He told, by solid reasoning, Shankara extracted from the Vedas the truths of Vedanta and on them built up the wonderful system of jnana that is taught in his commentaries. He showed, too, that as man can only travel slowly on the upward road, all the varied presentation are needed to suit his varying capacity. So it was Swamiji's observation on Shankara's work. He accepted all those positive, whatever is there, and he assimilated all those things. It reminded me about that Swamiji, when Sister Nivedita, she wrote one book, some wanderings in Himalayas. In diary, she noted down, they are traveling through Kashmir, Baramulla, and on the way towards Srinagar, they are passing through Punjab. So she wrote, it was June 14, 1898. So it is May. That's why I am mentioning the date. We entered the Punjab next day, and great was the Swami's excitement at the fact. It almost seemed as if he had been born there. So close and special was his love for this province. He talked of the girls, their spinning wheels, listening to the Soham, Soham, I am he, I am he. When the girls or ladies were preparing thread out of cotton and using charkha, the spinning wheel, the sound it was making to Swamiji, it was, I am he, I am he. Then by a swift transition, he turned to the far past and unrolled for us the great historic panorama of the advance of the Greeks on the Indus. It was a northwest of India. The rise of Chandragupta and the development of the Buddhistic empire. He was determined this summer to find his way to Attock and see with his own eyes the spot at which Alexander was turned back, because the local kings forced him to turn back, go from here. So that was the place of pilgrimage for Swamiji, a place of importance for Swamiji. He described to us the Gandhara sculptures which he must have seen in the Lahore Museum the year before, and lost himself in indignant repudiation of the absurd European claim that India had ever sat at the feet of Greece in things artistic. Then there was flying glimpses of long-expected cities, Ludhiana, where certain trusty English disciples had lived as children. It was at twilight, crossing one of these stony tracts, that he told us of that great vision which came to him years ago, while he was still new to the ways of the life of a monk, giving back to him, as he always afterwards believed, the ancient mode of Sanskrit chanting. Swamiji was talking about one of his visions that he had. It was evening. He said, in that age when the Aryans had only reached the Indus, I saw an old man seated on the bank of the great river, a sage. Wave upon wave of darkness was rolling in upon him, and he was chanting from the Rig Veda. Then I awoke and went on chanting. Then they were the tones that we used long ago, that kind of rhythm. Those who were constantly preoccupied with imagination regarding their own past always aroused his contempt. But on this occasion of telling the story, he gave a glimpse of it from a very different point of view. Shankaracharya. He was saying, it reminded him about Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya had caught the rhythm of the Vedas, the national cadence. Indeed, I always imagine, he went on suddenly with a dreamy voice and faraway look. I always imagine that he had some vision such as mine when he was young, and recovered the ancient music that way. Anyway, his whole life's work is nothing but that, the throbbing of the beauty of the Vedas and the Upanishads. Om Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhasyo Kritang Bande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Namashri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swami Tapaharine. Obeisance to Shiva and Keshava, who incarnated as Shankaracharya and Badarayana Vyasa, and composed the commentary and the Brahma Sutras respectively. Salutations to the King of Renouncers and Controller of Passions, the Swami Vivekananda, who is Satchidananda itself, the spiritual preceptor and the remover of sorrows. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.